Hey guys, tonight we're going to be talking about animals in the afterlife. Do our deceased animals actually come back and communicate with us? Let's find out. We'll be right back. Grab your popcorn and snacks. Find a comfy spot, take a seat or lie down, and let me transport you to a place of fantasy, ghost stories, ancient legends, odd creatures, alien encounters, and other magical topics. You may even decide to join the conversation. From faraway lands to your own backyard, with a small dash of pixie dust. Turn out the lights and open your minds. The journey is about to begin. Good evening, everybody. How's everybody doing? 7 o'clock. I never go on at 7 o'clock. It's kind of weird going on this late. My name is Charlotte. I'm going to be your host for the next hour. I'm also the owner of the California Haunt Paranormal Investigation Team based out of... Oh, it's on. Okay, making sure all my buttons pushed. Based out of Sacramento, California. We're 45 strong up and down the state, which means if you think you have a paranormal need, we can get to you. It might take us a couple days. California's a big state. But we will get to you. In the case that we can't get out there right away... Excuse me. We do have psychics on staff who can phone you and talk to you about what may or may not be going on in your home or business. And in most cases, if it is something paranormal, they can calm the energy down until we can get out there. Okay, that being said, if you're watching from Facebook tonight, and a lot of you are, and you like what you see and hear, please be sure to hit that follow button if you haven't followed already, and be sure to give us a thumbs up, happy face, or this heart thing, or love hearts, or whatever it is you want to give. Because what that does, and the chat room, it does is it puts us higher what they call the FYP, and the FYP is a for you page. So that distributes us out to a lot of people, and so more people see us. Okay. And while we're talking about that, if you've seen the show before, or if you're listening to tonight and you like what you hear, and there's other people around you in your house, or there's other people friends of yours that are online on Facebook or wherever, share us out. Because I'm just looking to build up more followers and get a bigger following for the show and all that. If you're watching from YouTube, same rules apply. I have over 1,000 videos over there, all of this show, and they vary in topic. I'm a journalist, photojournalist for my real job, and a graphics designer, and a Disney influencer, and a good line. Anyway, so I like to vary the shows. Like on Thursday, we're going to be talking about the opioid crisis. And you'll find stuff like that. So I put a lot of things in like title line, because it's easier that way. If you're in a cryptid, you just go to the cryptid folder. You can pull up whatever show and guest that you want. Okay? And look at the internet. It's already bouncing around. It's going to be one of those days. Was there big news today? Oh, Willie Mays. Okay, I'll talk about Willie Mays in a second. All right, so we are broadcasting tonight to Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. And everything works the same, even at YouTube. If you like what you see, chat in the chat room amongst yourselves. Talk to me in the chat room, because today I'll be listening to what you're saying because of our topic. Shoot me a thumbs up, shoot me heart, shoot me happy face, same thing. Twitch, same thing. So they all work basically the same. I kind of toyed with doing TikTok tonight, but after my day, I decided to not do that. Anyway, as you can tell, by looking at the title, it has changed. The client, I took an afternoon nap today. I had a wild afternoon, and we're going to get into that because it's related to the topic I chose tonight. And the client, the guest, isn't feeling well, so he can't make it today. He's going to reschedule. So I had to think about what I wanted to talk about tonight, and what went on this afternoon kind of leads into what I want to talk about tonight. We all have animals. We all have pets. We all adore our pets. I've had animals since I was tiny. And part of that, my mom and dad loved animals. But the other part of that was that they felt that it was a good experience for me because I would see death firsthand, as the animals got old and they would pass away. And they thought that was a good experience, not knowing that I was able to see dead people in my house anyway. It didn't matter, ghosts and whatnot in my house. But... so let's start out today, and I encourage you guys to chat in the chat room, because I've got it enlarged here, and I can see what you write about your deceased pets as well, the experiences you have had with them. I can sit here confidently and tell you this. They do come back. They do come back to visit. And I don't have photos, okay? I don't have recordings of them, but I have had experience with several of my pets that I grew up with coming back in the afterlife to visit. So we're going to talk about some of that stuff. But the first thing I want to talk about is my adventures today. What was supposed to be a nice, calm day turned into hell on earth. It wasn't so bad. I have a 16-year-old rat terrier who is partially blind. He can hear fine. He sees shadows, that kind of thing. He can get around the house. Well, my biggest fear is because he has to wear a helmet thing, cocktail helmet, right? Called the cocktail glass helmet. The cone of shame, right? The cone of shame. Because he has, right, he itches, and this is, I'll wait to come back. Give me a second. Or not. Okay. Every time that does it, I'm going to pause and come back. So it's not like I left the rig. I fell off to where all the Marios go. Anyway, those dogs are prone to real bad rashes and stuff, and so I have to have this thing on his head that he doesn't chew himself. Okay. Anyway, I've had this fear since his eyesight has issues that he's going to get lost somewhere in my house. And so far, there's one, in the room where I keep my cats, and he's gotten way in the corner, and I've had to dig him out to get him out of there and stuff. And so, there's things that go on. Like I still have a Christmas tree up. It's a thing that my mother enjoyed, so I keep it in dedication to my mother. I have my tree up in my living room. And so he gets under there, but he doesn't get cut. Sometimes he gets in, underneath the branches. Sometimes he does. Sometimes he just is on the side of it, yelling at it. He gets distressed over it because, like I said, he sees shadows. So, and maybe he's seeing ghosts. This house is full of ghosts. Maybe he sees stuff I don't see. I don't know. But he does get upset over it. So today I was in here cleaning up the studio and, working on my laptop and stuff. And I hear him, and he has a certain howl when he gets confused and when he's upset. And I could hear him. And so I came out of here. My Kelpie was in the hallway barking at me, trying to get my attention to go out there and check on him. So she leads me out to where he is. I go into my dining room, and it's my worst fear. I go in there. I can hear him. I can hear him scratching, like he's scratching against the wall, but I don't know where the hell, where he's at. And so I'm looking for him. In the meantime, I'm moving stuff because I'm trying to figure out. I knew generally he was off to the left of me. I just didn't know where he was off to the left of me. So I'm grabbing stuff in that area and I'm moving it and shoving it over into the divider area, trying to get to him. And when I finally get over there and I can't find him, and I'm thinking, where did he go? Well, my mother has this real old cabinet, and it's more of a hutch. So the bottom part of it is really, really heavy, and the top part is really, really light. But the top part does not attach to the bottom part. It's one of these things you can take off and move it elsewhere. And it finally dawns on me where the sounds are coming from. Somehow he got behind this real heavy wood china hutch. Okay, and there's not a lot of space in there. You gotta remember this dog can't be more than 20 pounds, and he's got the helmet thing on too. Bear that in mind. And that's where he's stuck. Somehow he got back in there, and that's one of my biggest fears. Because I have like a 65-inch old style TV in my den, and I'm only getting behind that, and I can't get to him. So I was wondering how I was going to get him out of there because I couldn't really grab him by the collar because it would wrench his neck too much. Plus, he had his head underneath the cabinet itself. So I was just trying to figure out how the heck I was going to do this. I thought about the fire department. I thought I'm going to have to call the fire department to help get this dog out of here. I can't move this thing. Luckily, I guess there's like they talk about that adrenaline push that people get when they're in real stressful situations. And so all of a sudden, I grabbed the thing and it moved, and I thought, wow. So I was trying to pull it out as far as I could pull it out, but he decided he wasn't going to go the direction that I wanted him to go because I was hoping to pull it out enough. And I found one of my dad's, because my dad used to get those, those claw things with the long arms on there, and it looks like the gun handle, and you can use the claw to pull things out. I was going to use the claw to pull him back out towards me. He decides to go forward, and I'm going, oh my God, he's never going to. Then it dawned on me, and I thought, if I could pull that thing out further towards me, he might be able to get around the corner and come out that way. So that's what I did, and he got himself out. The thing was, he was headed straight for the aquarium, where he could have got underneath the aquarium and really caused my 55-gallon aquarium and really caused issues. So I had to jump over there, and I had to put that stick thing in front of him to stop him from going any further, to grab him to bring him back to the living room. But I did get him out. Had to spend the afternoon putting everything back. I didn't know where he was. He was under stuff, under furniture or whatever, so I was just grabbing stuff and flinging it back, trying to get to him. But I did get him out. I turned around, cleaned it up, blocked everything off. I have everything blocked. My whole side of my house, the south side of my house, has things blocked off because he will get in there. So I have boxes that I have different boxes in different places. I've got those child protector gates all over my house that I block off my cords. Anything that he can possibly run into. So now that whole area is blocked off. The other area in the den is blocked off. It's crazy. It's crazy. But that's life with an old dog. When my last Kelpie, I had Reba. She would wander around as well, and she tried to. In fact, one of the last things she did was she tried to get in my bed. For some reason, wanted to get in the bathtub. Maybe because it was hot and it was cool in the bathtub. I don't know. I come home. I run up to grab my medication at Walgreens. I come home, walk through the door, and I can hear her making that sound that she's distressed. And I go in the bathroom, and she's halfway in the tub, so she's kind of stuck like a teeter-totter with the tub. Her front legs are like barely touching the porcelain, and then her legs floor, right? So she's stuck. So I had to pick her up, rescue her out of that tub. I had a Kelpie, Maddie, real smart dog. Got out. We used to, when we had our fences, the neighbors, there used to be like a spot of about maybe 10 inches in between the fences, and between the two fences, and somehow she went through the fence and got stuck in that section, that area in between. And I remember hearing her cry, so I go out there, I get her. The only way to get her was to tear that portion of the fence down to pull her through. So old dogs, if you had old dogs, this is what happens. Cats, same thing. I can't imagine what would happen if one of my cats was senile and it got out. Imagine where that would end up. But you go through this with old dogs because they start to not think straight. Senile. Maddie was never senile. Maddie just liked to explore things, and she got herself into that. Buddy's not senile either. Buddy, my little rat terrier, he's really sharp. He listens to orders, but he gets himself into some really weird places, and it's just the fact of life, that what goes on. But that was my adventure today. I took up my whole afternoon because I had other plans. I was going to work on the project this afternoon. Never got to it because I was dealing with my dining room and getting everything arranged back the way it should be, and rescuing the dog and doing all this other stuff. So, that's what you go through with other dogs. The problem is, guys, we love our animals. We will go to hell and back for our animals. And I do. My animals, my dogs have first priority, just like my cats and my birds. They all have first priority with me. And I will do whatever it takes, And I noticed, too, my Kelpie that I currently have, Gypsy, she was really upset over him being stuck back there. In fact, she's the one that led me to the dining room to show me that he was stuck. But she just didn't know where he was stuck. So she was right by my side the whole time I was tearing stuff down to try and get to him. And then when I got done, she was so excited and happy because I was able to get him out of there. She looks out for him. If he wakes up and starts wandering around the house, she barks to let me know, especially if I'm back here. She barks to let me know that he's wandering. So, she really keeps an eye on him. I've had her for 3 years, and she's really good about keeping an eye on him, which is nice. So she takes care of me, too. My soul dog, my mother had a soul dog. Her name was Pepper, another Kelpie. And this dog would lay for hours with my mother when my mother was going through her dementia and all that. And she knew that my mother wasn't to get out of bed. And so even though I had alarms on the bed, when my mom's cough weird, the dog would bark and come get me, to wake me up at night to let me know that my mother needed help or that my mother was up to something, kind of like what Gypsy does. And she does that with me. If I'm sleeping and I breathe funny, I have that apnea thing. She'll bark to wake me up. Or like last night, I fell asleep with my contacts in. That's a no-no. She knows it. Don't ask me how, but she barks to wake me up to make sure I don't fall asleep now. Great dog. Okay, now getting on to our topic as we slide into our topic. We spend so much effort and time taking care of our animals and making sure they're safe, making sure they're fed, making sure they're washed, etc., that we do bond with our animals. We do bond with our dogs. We bond with our cats. We bond with our birds. Or if you're a bunny person, or okay, well, so I'll just dare to say it. If you're into snakes, I'm not into snakes, but if you're into animals, you get a certain bond. I don't know if you're fond with a snake. I've never had a snake, but you get a certain bond going with your animals, and that's what I have done over the years, even as a kid. And when they pass away, it's just as heartbreaking when your animal passes away as it is when a human being passes away. And there's people out there that don't understand that because maybe they've never had an animal or they've never felt that bond with an animal. But it's just as heart-wrenching to lose your animal as it is to lose a parent or a cousin or a friend. It's just really, really heart-wrenching. And what I found out over the years is that they never leave us. Our animals stay with us. And I've had many, many, many accounts. And I'm talking not just one dog in particular, but different dogs that I have had over the years that have come back. Whether it's in a dream or I hear them walking through the house, I see them. And it's fun. And then what surprised me is that, even when people pass away, there's a saying that it takes 2 or 3 days, maybe even longer, before they're able to come back and check on you, even in dreams. And that happened to me with the dog I was really close with. But I'm going to digress a little bit. I had a childhood dog that I grew up with, and she passed away about 2 years after I graduated high school. Fun dog. Oh my God, she was fun. Little terrier mix, and I would take her everywhere. I used to bike ride a lot. Had her in a backpack. People would laugh. I had her in my backpack. I'd be riding her around and stuff. And we go to the park and do all this other stuff. I taught her how to climb ladders and do all these things. And she passed away. And I remember she passed away in my bed because I remember I was taking a dinner break and I covered her up and left her there. I came back, she was gone. But what happened later on was interesting, and I know I had a friend of mine talk about this about their black cat, this black cat that she had. In that I'm lying in bed one day, and the Packy would always sleep on my stomach or my chest, and I remember reaching up, and I could feel her fur, and she was right there with me, sleeping away. So she had come back to see me. Did I have any things with her after that? No, but I always got a sense because when I was sitting on the couch, when I would sit on the couch, I always got the sense that she was down there. So I was forever, when I would get up off the couch, I would always make sure to spread my feet out more so I didn't step on her. So I always had the impression that she was there on that, on the floor, carpet in front of the couch, and so I always had that with her. And then my mother had this one particular Chihuahua named Holly, and they could never find her. She was forever getting lost in the house. And so what they started to do was they would get bells, like the size of the bird cage, just small bells, and they'd put them on her collar so they could tell where she was when they could find her. Well, after she passed, and my parents would take the majority of our dogs and go up to another house we had down in the Los Angeles area, and I'd be here pretty much alone, unless I had one dog, usually pretty much alone. And I would be lying in my bedroom with the door open. And at that time, we had tile going all the way down the hallway. And I remember laying there, and I could hear a dog, small feet, nails, down the hallway, going north down my hallway. And the room that my mom and dad had is the studio right here. So we're right at the end of the house, just about. The one room over my other studio is the exact end of the house, where it is on the north side. And I remember hearing her come down the hallway. And not only did I hear the of her claws, I heard the bell. And I could hear the bell as she walked down the hallway. So she got halfway down the hallway and then it would stop. But this happened, several times. Several times I heard her come down the hallway, which was kind of cool, which I thought at that time was really, really, really super cool. As I got older and obviously got into ghost hunting and stuff, I became more sensitive to the animals being here. This house is full. Excuse me. Ooh, rude. So much for spaghetti, right? Um, this house has always been full. Even when I was little, there was always activity in this house. And being here alone, I feel it all the time. And like Nancy will tell you, there's always somebody in here looking over my shoulder when I'm doing these shows. So it's always been busy. And so it just stands to reason that when the dogs would pass away, that I would end up seeing them at some point, or having contact made by them. And with Maddie I remember I was really close to her. She's a Australian Kelpie. Died at the ripe age of 18. I lost her, and I was really upset because I really, after being a ghost hunter, I really wanted to see her. I wanted to see her so badly, or have some kind of contact to know that she was here. And it took a while. In fact, I remember calling Nancy, and I was just beside myself, going, "When is this going to happen?" We were so close. I don't understand why I don't see her right away. And so it took a while. But then one night I had this dream, and she was there, and she was healthy, and I could feel her fur. I could pet her, and she was jumping up and down like she did when she got excited. And she was barking, real happy barking and stuff, and jumping up and down, like I said. And I had this dream. It was a recurring dream that I had for like 2 weeks. And it took like a good 2 months after she passed for this to happen. I was so excited, But of course, the dreams are never long enough, so it really bummed me when the dreams were. But then other things started happening where I would see her out of the corner of my eye. I'd be sitting down watching TV, and I'd see a black kelpie go by. If any more black kelpies. What we had was a kind of tan, not even tan, but a darker tan colored kelpie. I forget what you call it, fawn colored kelpie. That was my mom's dog. But I would see Maddie, out of the corner of my eye, and then Monica, people that would come to the house would see her, out of, full blown would see her, and that was interesting. And then when I started to think, I ended up getting another dog a few years later. In fact, I had a little terrier dog that I was real close to. But she never really came back. I guess when she went, she was happy to go wherever she went. But I ended up getting another Kelpie, and it was a rescue. And she had her issues. People had mistreated her, and, excuse me, it's hot in here. Woo. I'm trying to do this with the AC on today. And people had mistreated her. And so I took her on, and it was a work in progress. Because she was a one-person dog. So once I did get her to the point where she and I could get along and sit on the couch and do things, she was already 8 years old when I got her. And after my father died, because there was a lot of stress going on in that situation, after my father died, I was diagnosed, I think, he died in, I think, July, and I was diagnosed with congestive heart failure the following November. So it was only July, August, September, October, November. About 5 months later, I was diagnosed with congestive heart failure. And it was interesting because it was a slow process, because you got to get a referral over to cardiology. I went to Kaiser the first night, and they rushed me through and said, "Okay, we'll check back with your doctor." And I said, "Just give me the meds. I know what to do. My dad had this." So anyway, so I got this dog, and pick her up, and everything was fine and dandy. She was fine, but like I said, she had issues. She tolerated my mom and I, and that was it. And so I remember, because of my heart failure, I was waiting to get in to do surgery, to have an ablation done on my heart, where they go in and they kill out the parts of the heart that's misfiring, to get your heartbeat back under control and get the blood flow going and all that. So I had some time before all that happened. Actually, I take it back. I think I was diagnosed in September, because I remember I went ahead and got the ablation in November. But in between those 2 months, November, October, yeah, those 3 months, I was just taking the meds and not trying to push myself any harder, and all this was going on. And this dog was fantastic. She, bear in mind, she bit me. She's a rescue. I put my face down there. She got me, and that was my fault. Okay, because she's a rescue. So fast movements would we showed her my hands, and all this was going on. But what she did one day, as I'm sitting there watching the baseball game, she crawls up on my lap, and I thought, okay, that's cool. I'm just gonna sit still, not upset or anything, because she's right in my face. And she laid right on my heart, and I thought, what's this dog doing? And finally, it dawned on me, and this went on day after day after day after day, and it finally dawned on me that she could hear my heart misfiring. She could tell that something was wrong with me, and so she would lay on my chest for hours on end to keep me warm like a mama dog. And then if I coughed or something, she would get really upset. It really upset her if I coughed, or if the pitter patter went off in my heart. She would get really upset. But this dog did this for like 2-3 months until I had my procedure done. Okay. I know we're kind of veering. We're veering between dogs in the afterlife and dogs like in normal life. But this, but there's some really cool stories out there about dogs that help their owners that are sick. And this one helped me when I was sick to keep me warm. And then when I would cough or something, she would get higher up. She would crawl higher up to keep me warm, like a mama dog that does with their puppies. Anyway, so life continued with this dog and then my mom's Kelpie. And I kind of I kind of wanted to get a Kelpie puppy, but I never really because of Reba's background and the fact that she had never really had a human of her own. I kind of made the decision not to do it and to wait until after she was gone get to get another dog. And so passed eventually. And then I wasn't going to get another dog for a while because I didn't feel like getting a dog. Just didn't feel like it. But then I noticed how empty my house was too. Australian Kelpies have, and I'm sure cattle dogs do too. Australian Kelpies have these huge personalities, and you can't have a house without. Once you have one, you have to have one all the time because their personalities are just so smart. Like Pepper, after my mom passed away, she survived from April, I think July of the following year, and then she passed away. And I think it was just a case that she wanted to be with my mother, And so at that point, all I had left was the little, at the time, like around another summer trip. I think it was the days are 3 years ago. We're just gonna say 3 years ago. I really didn't want another dog. I really wasn't into it. And the lady that breeds Kelpies that I know had this female, only 3 years old. She wasn't working out as a working dog because she is trained champion working dogs, and this dog just had no interest with being out, working the cattle or anything. See, Reba had been a cattle dog, and Maddie had been a cattle dog. Pepper never was. Pepper was just a puppy. But this one had no interest, so she had partial training, and I really was kind of beat about getting her. The interesting part of all this, and this is how your deceased relatives can become involved in your daily life and without you really realizing it, is that my father had a couple of boats, and it was fun because we would go out. We started out with this little puddle jumper thing to fish and whatnot, and then we went into a cabin cruiser, which we would stay the night and camp and everything on, at anchor. Anyway, all the boats were named Gypsy Rose because my father was Hungarian, so that was the whole Gypsy Rose thing. So I was still debating about getting this dog, and the breeder says, "Oh, I haven't told you her name yet," and I said, "Well, okay. Tell me her name." And she said, "Oh, it's Gypsy." And I said, "What?" And she said, "Yeah, it's Gypsy." Okay, I knew I had to get her. My father, that came down from my father choosing this dog that I have now. And so I did. I drove out to Bakersfield to get her. It was worth it. Even though when I brought her home, she was crazy because she never really lived in a house before. She was living in a barn. So the TV scared her. I had to go through all that training with her, puppy training. Okay, anyhow, getting back to Reba, I kind of jumped ahead. So when Reba finally was getting sick towards the end, I took care of her right to the end. As she passed, and I took her to be cremated. That night, she came to me in a dream to show me that she was all right. Fastest turnaround I've had with any dog. Boom, there she was. Great feeling. I never expected it because she and I, like I said, she was this rescue that had attitude, and so I didn't really expect her to come back right away. Maybe she caught the attitude with me or whatever. Came right back. I was so surprised. But ever since then, I see her. I see her, and usually it's the corner of my eye, and I know I'm seeing her because I have a crate for Gypsy, like when I'm working in here or when I'm doing work outside or whatever, or I go someplace. I have a crate, and I see this Kelpie out of the corner of my eye walking through the house and stuff in the particular rooms, and I know it's Reba because Reba was built real skinny. So I know it's her. Where Maddie was real muscular, Gypsy's muscular, but Reba was real skinny. So I can tell it's her walking through the house. I see her, and I see her a lot now. I mean, even now. I mean, she's been gone almost 4 years, and I still see her walking through the house from time to time, which is really cool, right? Because dogs do come back. Okay, let's digress a little bit. I remember I was talking about how I didn't want to get another puppy while Reba was alive because I wanted to be able to give my attention to her so she could have her own person. During this time, I have this dream. And it's me going house to house looking for a Kelpie puppy. Hang on one second. Civil War in here. Okay. Hope you didn't hear the swallow. And it's me going house to house looking for a Kelpie puppy. Well, I get to these houses, and I hear a voice. I'm in this one house, and it seems like it was weird because it seemed like it was I was like on my own street going up and down, going to different houses. But it's strange because I missed Maddie so much at that point. I really, really, really missed her. Even though I had Reba, I still missed Maddie. And I walk into this house, and I'm looking at these puppies. And I hear this voice say, "You're not ready yet. But when you are, the young black dog you find will be me." And so I took that to be Maddie telling me that I was going to find a dog. Might not be a puppy, might be a young dog, but that black dog that I find would be her native. Okay, so years go by, right? Remember I had Pepper, I was taking care of my mom and Reba. When Reba passed and came into my life, my father obviously had a hand in. I mean, what are the chances and coincidence and karmic coincidence that this dog is going to be named Gypsy when my father's two boats were named Gypsy Rose? Okay, so my dad chose this dog. This dog isn't quite the double of Maddie, but she looks a lot like her. And she's from the same breeder. I never understood whether she was distant relation or from a different, bloodline. Because Reba had been Maddie's niece. So they were all connected. So maybe I got lucky, right? Gypsy and I had an immediate bond. Okay, so I bring her home. I'm getting her trained. Everything plugs in the TV. Doorbell, oh my god, yeah. TV drove her nuts. She loves TV now. Loves to watch Little House. Has a thing for Bandit. I'm figuring she probably saw those dogs on the ranch where she was at. But all this time that I've had Gypsy with me, Reba has been here. And like I said, I see her all the time walking around the house. And I've asked, Karen Clark and different people what they think. And I know Karen Clark told me that Reba adores Gypsy. So, I mean, that's probably why she's around, right? It's nice to have your deceased dogs around. And it's just really comforting. It's like knowing your mother is around still, is around you still. It's very comforting. But I still see those dogs. But Gypsy is so close to me that I can kind of believe that maybe Maddie, can pop in and out of her or whatever, because she's just the way Gypsy is. She's laid back. Maddie was really laid back. So I'm still having these experiences with these dogs that are no longer with me. Another side for Reba that I want to bring up as far as that goes, and being able to have other dogs jump into their bodies, just like they talk about with ghosts, where a ghost will, like a psychic, for instance, will the psychic will allow that person inside their system, and then do reading and then talk about that and talk like them. I had to take Reba to the vet. Didn't know she had parvo. She was real sick. Took her into the emergency vet. And they were going to do x-rays. They had to knock her out, and all this. And so I came home so that my mother could have something to eat before we went back to the vet to pick up Reba. We go back to the vet, and as they're bringing Reba out, it didn't look like her. It actually looked like Maddie. And I remember that distinctly when they brought her through the door and walked her up to the front counter. That wasn't Reba. It was Maddie that I saw coming out to that counter. I get her in the car. Reba was always horrible in the car unless I had her strapped in. She got real fun with it later on. She enjoyed it, but at first, oof. So I'm going to be hell going home. My mother's going to have to hold on to her because this dog is going to be a monster. And she was still sedated, mind you. But that is the calmest I have ever seen her in the car on the way home. In fact, she came out of it just as I turned the corner to pull into my driveway. And so I started to think about that, and I thought, well, that wasn't her coming out the door with the vet. That was Maddie. So what if Maddie came all the way almost to the house to keep her calm, while I was driving? That's something I can think of. But I kid you not, I saw Matt when the vet came out of the room after doing the x-rays and was bringing her out to me. It was Maddie and not Reba. Different dog altogether. Fantastic experience. Fantastic experience to have and to know, that Maddie was helping Reba along. You don't think about those things. You don't hear those stories from people. I would love to have people like you guys in the chat room tonight. If you have stories about your deceased animals, about them coming back, I would love to hear it. I really would. And it happens with just, like I said, Reba was a rescue. I didn't even think she would even want to come back and deal with me, but she did. She's been back a lot, especially since I've gotten Gypsy. Another thing people don't think about is their birds. I lost a bird, Charlie. Had him for a while, loved him. He talked. Oh my God, he was a chatterbox. And I remember after he passed, I was really, really upset over it. And the funny thing is, I could hear him wolf whistle. There were times I'd be watching TV and he would whistle or chatter like he used to chatter. And it was him. And this is weeks and weeks after he had passed away. But he was here with me still. So that was kind of a cool experience to have where that's concerned, because I never thought about birds either, right? Who knew? Another thing that happened, during the time my mother was sick, and I couldn't get out to do a lot because I was watching her. What people don't realize when you're taking care of sick people, how much of a strain it is, how stressful it can be, because you're essentially locked house with a person with dementia and you've got to put extra locks on the doors, and you're making sure they're safe and doing all this. Well, I was cleaning my backyard, and my producer found an orange kitten. Okay, I never thought about feral cats before, or the feral cat population, so I figured this was like a pet that had gotten loose. Next thing you know, the orange kitten turned into 5 different kittens. Okay, there was a black one, there was a cream-colored one, there was a tiger-looking one, and a brown one. And the mother was there. The mother was a calico, and not a happy calico. She didn't like anybody messing with her babies. So I would spend evenings, because we had raised Chihuahuas to sell way back in the old days. And so I thought, well, this is kind of an outlet to watch these kittens run around the yard. And so I would sit out every night, every evening, and watch the kittens play in my fountain and do all this other stuff. I'd buy kitten toys, because I knew that they were feral, so they wouldn't come near me. Oh, here we go. I dropped off again. Hang on. The internet's really bad. It's going to be big news today. Big news day. Everybody on here, just another FYI for everybody, I have Xfinity. Everybody in my neighborhood has Xfinity, and we're all sharing the same line at this point. So this is what happens. Anyway, so I would watch these ferals play. And there was one in particular, a black cat, a female black cat. And she used to play with me the most. Because I'd have like the feather boa things going on and all that. And we started to, without me knowing it, she decided to choose me to be her human. And I was shocked, because here they are, wild cats, right? So she would walk up literally and rub my legs and do everything that a domestic cat would do. I was shocked. In fact, the first time she did, I froze. I just stood there because I didn't know whether to move or not. Was she going to bite me, or what was she going to do? It got to the point where she would roll over, let me rub her tummy, and all this stuff. So I took her in, had her fixed. It's just the whole trap and release thing, going on to curb the population down. Somewhere along the line, she was in my yard for almost a little over 2 years. Somewhere along the line, she got poisoned. Something poisoned her. Something, hear her screaming like in the backyard. I was trying to find her and stuff. And she would come to me. She'd make it a point to come to me. She disappeared for days, which she do, and I found her in my yard. She had come home, and she died in my yard. And I actually took care of her, I had her cremated and everything. Because she and I got along great. It was like having a regular cat, only an outside cat. Anyhow, I usually put a nice meditation thing back there in the summer. And it's really cool. It's like Disney. I have fireflies and all this stuff's going on. And I happened to be out there for a couple nights. And I saw her. I saw her run across my yard. And it wasn't some other cat, because when I went over to check it out, nothing was there. Or she would walk up towards my leg, and I could feel her rubbing my leg, my right leg. So she came back to see me, which was kind of cool, you know. So it could happen with any animal. You doesn't have to be a dog or an inside pet, okay? Because these were definitely feral cats, and she came back. There was another cat that was related to her that I found out from a neighbor was related to her. His name was Smokey. Beautiful cat. He took a liking to me. So, but he was the whole issue there. He was a tomcat, and the other tomcats in the neighborhood weren't going to tolerate him being here. But he would roll over. He'd sit on my lap. He would roll over. Let me pet him. He'd give hugs. Sweet cat. And he just disappeared one day. And I got him to come back, and I was sorry that I did because this big tomcat that at that time, I don't think he's around anymore, but he ruled the neighborhood. He chased him clear across the yard. I felt so bad about that. But I never saw Smokey again, so I don't know what happened to him. But getting back to all this, on a cheerier note, I was still literally seeing the ghost of this black cat in my yard that I had literally raised from a kitten. But the thing about it was that with these ferals too, I was getting them fixed, released, but you still get the stray ones in that would still produce kittens. I mean, because you're not going to be able to cover everybody in the neighborhood. People that do this with cats will try to, right? So another cat came in, and I knew it was a relation to the black cat. Well, here we go. I just dropped off again, guys. Hang with me. It's me. It's Mario. Okay. Probably get sued for that that little bit. But I knew this female cat was related to her, and I felt sorry for her. She was pregnant, and she was what I call the loneliest cat in the world because there were no other cats in my yard at that point. And so she would come in and sit down on the back on the chairs with me, and we would just talk. We'd have these conversations back and forth. So I think eventually she got hit by a car. I don't know what she had kittens. She was a really good hands-on mother. I was going to take them in to have them all fixed, and all that for that release. And it's not like her to disappear. I mean, she was so doting on those. In fact, she would let me babysit them. She would go lay in the grass where it was cool around the other side of the house with them to babysit. So that if something happened with them, I would yell, and then she would come running. So we had this relationship, and she would rub my legs as well. But she wasn't really as friendly as that black cat had been. But we still had a relationship. So like I said, one day she just disappeared, which is normal for feral cats. You can't fall in love with feral cats. You fall in love with feral cats, your heart's going to be broken all the time because they're going to do what they want. They might take off for 2 or 3 years, then all of a sudden show up, which happened with one of the cats I had been taking care of. So I had to get the babies because a new male had come in. This particular male was a cat that had been in that first generation of cats that we found in my yard. Creamy, beautiful cat, absolutely gorgeous. But he was going after the babies, especially if they were male. There were 4 remaining cats, or kittens. And then they started disappearing. The kittens did. And I had suspicions that this creamy cat was killing. Because I remember, I have 2 of the kittens now. And I remember watching out my back door where that cat would chase them all over the yard. And that was the year that we had the big maple tree fall. And so the kittens were able to get on the maple tree branches and hide in there. And I would see him doing this. So I caught both of them. They were really young. I have them. And it's fun to think that they're related to that first generation. Just like I have a male cat, a big tomcat, that lives with me who is really, really, really sweet. And he takes after the original black cat. But he's like her nephew. Okay, because not everybody is getting these cats and having them fixed and they're really speculative in society. And I think it was it's not a natural thing. What do they call it? When an animal returns to that same spot, it's instinctual. Instinct, yeah, instinct. To where they return over and over to a spot, like the salmon when they spawn, right? So these cats would come into my yard because that was in their instinct to come, and that's how I got them. So I do have 3. I have a male, And then I have 2 females, and they're all related to that first round of cats, right? But like I said, not everybody is a responsible cat owner to take the cats and have them have them fixed so that they don't produce babies anymore. So that's where these other cats would come back into my yard. It wasn't the ones that to spay and neuter, right? It wasn't the ones that I had because mine were spayed and neutered properly. But it's interesting, it's interesting when you look at that because they're wild cats, and to have a wild cat take to you and love you just like a normal cat, it's mind blowing. I think that's the fascination people have with like the big cats, and some wild animals, because it's just so impressive that they would do that they have that capability. Anyway, getting back to ghostly animals. I still, like I said, I still have instances where I see Reba in the house. Where I'll be in the kitchen, Gypsy's locked up, Buddy's locked up, and I'll see out the corner of my eye the black kelpie come around the corner and go around me, and so I know it's not Gypsy. So it's a really cool feeling. It's like a relief when your animal comes back because that animal still wants to be with you. I have visions of my couches, sitting on my couch, and there's like 4 or 5 dogs sitting on the couch, a couple of cats over on the side, bird. So it's like I said, I have a full house, and there's animals too. This room in particular is interesting because my father um, stayed here till the end of his life, where he had to go to Kaiser, and that was it. But the interesting part about that is that when he was lying in bed, he would see a person walk by the mirror in the bathroom. There's a bathroom back behind here. And I don't know, he never really knew who it was. But I remember after he was gone, I had a desk over here in the corner. I had moved in here to work. And I remember not feeling comfortable sitting in here, like I was being watched from that bathroom. Talked to Nancy. Nancy thought it was my aunt on my father's side, my Aunt Ella. Maybe it was. I don't know. Who am I? But this room has always had activity. And Pepper, unfortunately, passed away in here. And I have her ashes in here as well as Reba's ashes. What's interesting about that is that I know Gypsy sees things in my house. Like in the evenings when I'm watching TV and doing stuff, she will stare at a certain place like she's seeing someone there or something there. So maybe she's seeing Reba or one of the other dogs, or maybe she's seeing my mom or whoever, but she is definitely seeing things in my house. So what I find interesting is I have there's only one air conditioner here. It's in this room. And that's why you hear when it's on sometimes. And Gypsy will wait for me at the door. She'll lay down and wait for me. And that always gets me in the heart too when she does it. And so I'll open the door, and she'll look at me all excited, wagging the little tail and all that. I invite her in, and she won't come in. She refuses to come in. So I don't know if she's seeing human ghosts, ghosts from my family members, or maybe it's the 2 ghosts because I have the ashes in here. Maybe it's the 2 dogs that are in here, and she won't cross the threshold to come in here ever. And I coaxed her. I've had food. Imagine a dog turning down real good food, and they won't come in the room with you. Okay, so something's up with that. So she's either seeing activity here, she's seeing the deceased dogs here, or whatever. But to this day, 3 years later, she still won't come in this room to be with me. So I don't know. That's one of those things. I have no clue. But there is, but like I said, I do have animals here, and if what I'm saying helps any of you out there who have lost a pet that you adore, I've done my job, because there is life after death for our pets, and they do come back. They do come back to visit. I've read things where people will leave dog toys out that a particular dog liked, just so they have them to play with when they come through the afterlife. That Reba never really played with toys. She was not a toy dog. Maddie was, but Reba was never a toy dog. Gypsy's not. I don't think Gypsy's a toy dog. Gypsy's more brutal, so she has bones and things like that. But the only one that would come back for toys would be Maddie. There's times, because I have a big bowl. What do they call the big dog bowl? One of those dog fountains. And there's times when I can hear a dog having a drink in the fountain. And the kicker part of it is both my dogs are on the couch with me. So there's another dog in my kitchen, drinking water. I can actually hear them lapping. So it's an interesting experience. And like I said, don't ever think that when you lose an animal that you adore, that animal's just going to go off to wherever the animal goes, to Rainbow Bridge or any of that, and not come back to see you, because they will come back to visit with you. I've seen it. I've seen it hundreds. Like I said, I've had friends that have come over and seen the dogs here, or felt them bump into their legs. I'm forever like in the kitchen when I'm cooking. A dog will bump into my leg, and I can feel that they're there. So don't ever think that that's not going to happen. The other thing that and this is something Nancy and other psychics have told me over the years. After somebody passes, whether it's a dog or it's a person, we really, really want to know that they're okay. And the problem is that we may not be okay. We feel and think like we're okay, but we're not okay. We're not in the right mind. And so, a lot of the time when you think that you should be having sightings of a deceased relative or a deceased animal, you don't have them because you want it too bad. And because you don't want to let go yet either of that person or that animal. It's dry in here. It's water. And so you don't want to let go of that. You want to see them so badly. So that's part of the reason why it may take a while for someone or an animal to come back, because you're not ready. You're not ready to release. Like when I saw Maddie after waiting those couple months, I was able to release because she looked so good. I was upset because to me it didn't last long enough to have that contact with her. But because she looked so good, I thought, wow, you're looking really good, and that left me with that good feeling, knowing that the dog was fine. Just like my mother. Soon after my mother passed, I was sleeping on the couch, and we had a love seat where she used to sit. And I woke up one morning, and she was sitting on the love seat watching TV. I could see her playing this day. And other things like that. Her dog, Pepper, used to jump up on her all the time, and Pepper was not light. Pepper was a heavier Kelpie. I'd say she was like 60 pounds. She was always on a diet. But it's funny because since my mom passed away, I have seen her I have seen her with Pepper, even though I haven't seen her. Does that make sense? I know they're there. And the reason why I know they're there is because I have watched where Pepper had jumped up on the couch. She used to jump up on my mother, and she shoved right back off. Something or someone has shoved her back off the couch, like my mother used to do. Because that dog would go and would run, and then boom, it was like a cannonball in the pool when she would land on her. And so I have seen where Pepper had tried to jump up on the couch, and at the same time go backwards, like somebody has shoved her away, like my mother used to do. So I've seen that happen several times in this house. So it's not only me seeing the ghosts are seeing it's not only me seeing the dogs and the ghosts, it's the ghosts are seeing the dogs and whatever else they're seeing, you know. So, I mean, they can interact with your loved ones in the afterlife, just like people, those stories of Rainbow Bridge and all that. Yeah, they interact because I saw it. I saw it on the love seat. I know in my heart, I know that my mother was sitting there and the dog probably jumped on her and she shoved her off like she used to, you know. Or there was one part, my mother always sat on the right side of the love seat. So after she was gone, when Pepper would get up on the love seat, or any of the dogs would get up on that left seat, they would sit on the left cushion, like someone was sitting there. Like someone was sitting on the right cushion. So I've seen that several times as well. You know, but don't ever think that your animal won't come back. I mean, if you're home alone or whatever, leave out treats, whatever the favorite treat for the animal was. You might get lucky and see it, or you might hear your animal. Like I heard the bird, right? I didn't even expect to hear the bird in a million years, but I heard the bird. And the feral cat, saw her. Didn't think that was going to happen either. I still see her when I'm back there at night. So it does happen. But, yeah, it can get to be an adventure, as they get older. And just like with Buddy, he's going to get underneath things and get caught underneath things. And it's just a fact of life. So don't turn me into the internet police or anything like that. I mean, that's just what happens with old dogs, and I expect it to happen. So I have everything blocked off now, so I don't expect any of those issues anymore, But it's interesting. It's an interesting ride when you have an older pet, and then when your pet does cross the Rainbow Bridge. It's like it's not a final thing. It's not, believe me, it's not final, because they can, just like human ghosts, human spirits, they can come back and visit. And they do, you know. You might even find a feather, you know, like they always talk about feathers. You might even find a feather in a place that there shouldn't be a feather. And that's a sign that someone or something's been visiting you, you know. And I'd like to think that, you know, that it's our pets. And that, no, like I said, that's my experience, is seeing the pets. So part of what is here in this house are my deceased pets, and then my relatives who come around me. My mother especially. You know, I'd be sitting watching a movie in my living room, and she used to grab me when we go to the big theaters. She would get nervous about a movie or something, and she would grab my hand. She would always grab my right hand, and I could tell she was grabbing it because she would have long nails, but they were long enough to where when she would put her hand over my hand, I could feel the nails kind of digging into my palm. And so I'll be watching TV here, and I'll feel that. She'll grab my hand, and I could feel the nails. You know, it's things like that. Or we're watching, she loved Frasier, the show Frasier, and we would watch Frasier, and she would laugh. And I remember I was sitting here one night, and I heard her laugh from across the room. I could hear her laugh because she was watching it. You know, things like that. But it does happen, and like I said, sometimes with some people it takes longer to happen than it does with others, because it's just how your mindset is at that time. You know, you don't, you know, you get, like I said, you get to a certain point where you don't want to release that person and say, okay, you're gone now. You know, you're still here, but not here, and I'm okay with that, right? But there's times that you don't want to say that. There's times when you want that so bad, and you want that feeling so bad to feel that person. And that is why I believe, I'm not an expert at this, okay? I, I've never died. I don't know, okay? Nobody knows. Like that gentleman I had on the other night, anybody that says they're an expert in any of this is out of their minds, okay? There are no experts. We are here collecting data just like a scientist, trying to find answers for this stuff, okay? That's what we do. So, you know, if that's what you know, if that's what I've heard, that's what I've read, that's what I've talked to psychics about it, you know, yeah, I'll say so and so hasn't seen their brother yet. What's going on? They say, oh, they're not ready. And so I think the thing about, you know, and then they'll look at you and go, what's it mean? I'm not ready. I'm not ready. And that's why I believe, like in all the studies I've done, even with animals, okay, it goes for animals too, and humans, that if you're not at the point where you come to terms with what happened, they won't come back to visit, because they don't, you know, they don't want you glomming on, they don't want your energy glomming onto them. It's not fair to them either. But when you're ready to accept, you know what happened to them, whether it's old age or whatever, then you're going to see them more. You'll have contact with them. Another example, my mother, like I said, the Christmas tree thing. You know, I have a Christmas tree. I have a 7.5 foot Christmas tree up my living room. At Christmas, I always had extra trees, so I'd have like 2 or 3 trees in the house. My mother loved it, just loved it. And I remember one day in July one year, it was to the point that I had to make a decision. I had a tree in my living room. I had a tree in my entryway, in my hallway. I needed to have access to get my equipment in and out. So I thought, okay, just going to take down the tree in the hallway. You know, I talked to my mom about it. I just talked to the owner and said, look, you know, this is what I'm intending to do. We're going to leave the tree up in the living room. You'll still get Christmas, but I'm going to take the one in the hallway down. For some reason that day, I decided to go to Target. So I go to Target, pick up some stuff. I'm coming home in the car. And this is out of the blue. I don't know what station it was, what radio station. But out of the blue, because I was thinking about that tree and taking it down, you know, okay, you know, I'm sorry, the tree. As I'm driving back, Oh Holy Night comes on the radio. Live radio. To this day, I don't remember what station it was. So I took that to be a sign from my mother, you know, saying, okay, yeah, go ahead, take that tree down. Leave the other one up, but take that tree down. You know, so there's things like that that happen. And it's still happening with her. You know, my siblings have felt her around them. More often than not, they felt her around him. Or around them. So you know, she's moving to all to all the kids and checking this all out, right? But like I said, you know, with pets, when they go, they do stay around us. They really do, and it's a wonderful feeling, especially if you get the opportunity to see one in a dream. You hear it. You know, you might be walking through your house or apartment, and you hear your dog bark when there's no dog, right? But it happens. It happens, and there's a lot of reports of that happening. And I just wanted to share that with you tonight. I was thinking like when the guest said he couldn't do it 5:30 today. I got to thinking about what I want to talk about. In fact, I was tempted to read the book or go popping in the other room and maybe continue our little build on Yoda. But I decided to come in here and talk about pets because people are really interested in what happens to our pets after they pass away. And so I decided to talk about that tonight. Throw in my experiences. Maybe we'll get Nancy on here to have her one Friday talk about that. Because it's interesting. It's interesting when you that a pet is sentient enough to come back to visit. I just wish I could get a photo, to prove it. To say, hey, yeah, there's so and so. Look at the picture, But yeah, everything, it's like anything else. It's like Bigfoot pictures. You might have a cell phone, but when things happen, the cell phone's not ready to take a photo. Or if you're a photographer, like I am, I have a really cool, but it's not ready to instantly take a photo, right? I mean, that's the whole point of having a studio. So when stuff happens and sightings happen, like with the dogs or my mother or Bigfoot or whatever you happen to be involved in, you might not get a good photo or get a photo at all because you're just not prepared to take a photo. It's not a question of they're lying, but that's why you see blurry photos of stuff like Sasquatch, supposed photos of Sasquatch moving through the trees, because you're not ready, and you don't have the phone set correctly, or whatever you're shooting with, you don't have it set correctly, and then whatever's happening, it's not like it's taking its sweet time to happen in front of you. This is like in seconds. You're lucky if you get 1 or 2 minutes out of it to take photos of or video. So that's why you don't see a lot of photos of ghosts, and you don't see a lot of photos of Bigfoot or any of the cryptids or anything like that, because you just can't do that fast. You just can't get whip that camera fast enough, or whip your Nikon up fast enough, setting set up. Because by the time you're done fumbling with it, whatever it is that was passing in front of you is gone. So that's how that is. But I just wanted to share this stuff with you tonight, especially since that incident this afternoon with the dog. And like I said, don't turn me into the internet police or anything like that. I don't deserve that. I take good care of my animals, and it was bound to happen. But he's been like this for a couple months, and he hasn't gone into that area before, and he got in there today. So I had to go up and like I said, put the baby gates up, the toddler gates up, so he can't get through there and stuff, and block off, so that he can't get access. It's like that. The whole side of my house to the south is all blocked off, so he can't get back there. Just like where I have my cords in the living room, where I sit on my couch, that's all blocked off. I have that, I have those baby gates up to block all that off, so he can't get in there. Or behind my couch or anything like that, I have everything is blocked off, so he doesn't have access. But it's what you do. You want to take care of your babies, and I take care of my babies one way or another. But I hope you enjoyed this talk, and let me do something really quick here. Okay. And like I said, I'm not an expert in this. I've been doing paranormal investigations for 18 years now. Am I an expert? No. I'm still learning. I'm always learning. It's on the job learning. Will we ever know anything? I don't know. I don't know if we'll ever know the full story until it's our time to cross over. I'm just trying to find stuff out just like you are. It's an exact science. Even with our animals. But anyway, I hope I hope I was able to calm your minds down and everything as far as, if you lose an animal. Do they come back? Do they not come back? I hope I was able to share some stories for you to that. And there's a lot of books out on it. There's a lot of really good books out you could look up. I don't have the titles right now. This was short notice, but there's a lot of neat books out there on the topic. What to look for once your animal passes. The signs and stuff to look for. I think there was one lady that had a sign. I can't remember which book it was I read. It might have been this book my cousin gave me after my mother passed. And this lady kept seeing praying mantises. And she took it to be a sign of her mother, or her animal. So there's all kinds of books you can get. So check it out. Look up the subject and stuff, and maybe the next time I get on, we'll talk about communicating with your live animals. Because I've had that happen once or twice with Reba. When I had Reba, to where I didn't hear what she was thinking, but I actually, when I was looking at her and really trying hard to communicate with her, her eyes went wide, and I could see that she recognized that I was talking to her mentally, and she was kind of shocked about it. And that's as far as we got. But I mean, I was able to make that kind of contact at one time. So yeah, so I just wanted to share that with you. Wanted to share my exciting day with you because it didn't, it didn't go the way I figured it was going to go. Obviously, because here I am doing this show, and then I spent the whole afternoon child proofing my dining room, literally child proofing. So it's just been an interesting day, And when you have animals, you have old animals. This is the stuff that happens to keep you on your toes. So all right, tomorrow Nancy Matz is going to be back with us at 6:30 p.m. Pacific, and we're going to have a part 2 of what we were talking about Friday, how we manipulate our life forces in our daily life. She's going to be talking about that tomorrow, so that'll be 6:30 p.m. Pacific. The layout for the week is going to be Thursday. I haven't updated anybody on what's going on. Personal struggles with this opioid epidemic. So I want to kind of update people on that on Thursday. Some positives happened, and at the same time, some negatives happened. So I want to go over that with you guys, to make people more aware of what's going on with that, and how the epidemic itself has not only hurt the drug, the drug addicts, obviously, is what they're going after, the illegal drug use, but it's really, really hurt the people like me that really need the medication. The struggles that we have to go through month to month just to obtain medication. So I've got some really cool updates for you about that. Hopefully within the next couple weeks, if everything goes well and I'm able to get outside before the sun beats down and then it's like hell out there, I will be starting to do meditations out in my backyard, which is really a neat place to meditate, especially when I get done getting everything set up the way I like it out there. So we can start doing meditations out there with the fountain and all that going on. So hopefully within the next couple of weeks, I'll be ready for that. And get my gazebo and all that good stuff and get all that set up. So I've got a lot going on right now, and we're looking for advertisers. If anybody has a business or a product that they would like to advertise on the show, and I can tell you we're going all over the world. It's not like we're just going to Sacramento or someplace like that. We are beaming out all over the world. We're averaging quite a few downloads during the day, quite a few downloads during the month. We've really grown, and so your product would be shown all over the world. So I would either plug it into a video like this, or do it via the RSS feed, which is where this thing's beaming. I mean, that's where it's all going all over the world. I mean, Indonesia, you name it, we're there. So I'd be able to do it after I do the show to download the audio like I do normally. And then I'm able to insert your ad in the show. That way, then send it out in the RSS feed. So if you're interested in that, that's great. I'm not going to be charging an arm and a leg because we're just getting this thing rolling. So PM me. You can find me on Facebook. See my name's there? Yeah. That's how I spell my name. You can find me on Facebook. PM me. Or California Haunts Radio. You can tell me, we can talk. Okay, because I'm not going to charge an arm and a leg to do this. I just want to start getting some advertising income coming in. That's all. All right. Okay. Here we go. Tomorrow night, 6:30 p.m. Nancy Matz will be with us for part 2 of her, how we manipulate our life force in our daily lives. And then that will be at 6:30. We're back at normal time, 6:30 p.m. Pacific tomorrow. And then again, we'll be back Thursday and then of course Friday. So I want to thank each and every one of you tonight for sticking with me. I appreciate it. Hearing me chatter on and on. And if you like the show, share it with 5 people. If you hated the show, share it with 5 of your enemies. We are equal opportunities here at California House Radio. Just trying to get the word out about our show. And it's working. The more you share, the more people watch. It's getting exciting, really exciting. But thank you all for coming tonight. I see Mike Prine. Is it Mike Prine or Mike Prine? Was watching. Thank you for the like. I appreciate it. If anybody else wants to throw a thumbs up or a happy face up there, that would be great. But thank you all. Thank you all. But I just wanted to share my experience with my old dog, dealing with an old dog, because it can get adventurous from time to time. All right? But he's healthy in every other way. He's eating. He eats all the time. He eats constantly. I mean, he's constantly eating and drinking water and running around the house and doing dog things. So he's... Thank you for the second like, whoever that was. See, that's just popped right up. Who's we get? Marisa. Okay, got it. So yeah, thank you guys for coming tonight. I really appreciate it, and I will see you tomorrow. Let me get set up on my screen here as I lean forward a little bit. I'll see you tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. Pacific with Medium Nancy Matz. Have a great evening.